From the young Dutch girl who can draw with both hands, to the Pakistani who can make her eyes pop out of her eye sockets for several minutes, here are 10 things that only 1% of people know how to do. Drawing beautiful realistic portraits is not an easy task. Indeed, it is a demanding art that requires a very fine sense of observation and an excellent turn of hand. It also takes several years of practice to finally manage to draw more or less correct drawings. Throughout this training, amateurs strive to make their hand movements more skillful, more precise, and more intuitive. However, these considerations do not really apply to certain categories of people, who can be described as gifted. The Dutch artist Rajasena Van Damme is one of them. Not only is she ambidextrous, but she can make 2 different drawings simultaneously, each with one hand. Initially, a model and actress at the age of 18, Rajasena was then noticed for her talent as a draftswoman. Later, she realized that she could draw with both hands at the same time, and it didn't take her long to train these senses. This prowess is too prodigious to be easily believed, and indeed, many people think it's impossible. However, Rajasena does indeed possess this extraordinary, almost absurd talent, which has earned him his fame. And what is not less astonishing is that she has not really had any difficulty in cultivating it. It is indeed what we can call a natural gift, where luck comes in, because she is one of the 1% of people in the world who know how to use their right hand as well as their left hand. Every day, you drink an average of 1.5 to 3 liters of water, and this amount meets your daily hydration needs. But suppose you and a friend take on the challenge of drinking more than 4 liters of water all at once. If you don't want to live long enough to go on such a spree, chances are you'll pass out, or you'll become a victim of deadly water poisoning. That's because your stomach can't hold more than 1 liter at a time. Yours, not Dixon Opong's. Because for this Ghanaian, the massive ingestion of water doesn't really cause a digestive problem. He can take up this challenge with brio, and even make it a fun show. This man with a phenomenal stomach is capable of swallowing 4.5 liters of water in one go, in less than a minute and a half, all while dancing, spinning a bowl on his finger, and performing steps that amuse the audience. This ability is physiologically incredible, and the only possible explanation is that Dixon Opong's stomach is superhumanly elastic. Moreover, during this breathtaking trick played during an entertainment show, he lifts up his shirt for a few moments, and reveals to us his belly gorged with water, and inflated like a balloon. If you think his talent is limited to this excessive absorption, know that he is also able to regurgitate some of this water like a watering can or a fountain. Do you like this video? Then don't forget to give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell, so you won't miss anything in our next publications. Let's keep going. The tongue, as you know, is an organ with multiple functions, mainly those of nutrition and speech. But have you ever wondered why some people manage to do so much more with their tongue, to roll it around for example? It was long believed that the ability to roll the tongue was genetic before a study of monozygotic twins disproved this theory. Because, there has been very serious research on the ability to roll the tongue. In truth, on this subject, genetics is not the only determining factor. It is more likely that this ability, which has no practical use, can be explained by the simple muscular dexterity of the tongue. Just as some people, not having a flexible tongue, do not know, for example, how to produce Russian R, so others are unable to roll up their tongue. It is well known that it is almost impossible to tickle yourself. This is not a very unfortunate thing, as it is intimately linked to the evolution of species and their adaptive capacities. Indeed, as curious as it may seem, not to choke on laughing while tickling oneself actually stems from a vital reason for organisms. The brain interprets the same stimulus differently, depending on whether it is performed by oneself or by someone else. Thus, receiving a blow is more painful than inflicting it on oneself. Even if the 2 blows are of equal intensity, the brain anticipates and recognizes voluntary acts. This mechanism allows us to highlight stimuli coming from the environment so that they are not confused with the consequences of our motor acts. It is therefore a highly useful feature. But suppose you still want to tickle yourself. To do so, you have to trick your brain. It's impossible unless you are schizophrenic. Indeed, patients suffering from this pathology have difficulty differentiating between external sensations and those they produce themselves. To tickle yourself, you need a robot. By moving an object with your right hand, you are moving a second object, such as a feather, the tip of which will caress the palm of your left hand. But it takes more than that to thwart the predictive ability of the brain. There must be an unpredictable delay between your movement and the stimulus you receive. That's it. You manage to make yourself laugh, which is, let's face it, a power that would make anyone dream. However, beware of excess. Don't go and die from suffocation or a heart attack by twisting yourself into laughter, because such deaths are less rare than we think. Do you know the chair challenge? This old challenge on social networks intrigues a lot of people because of its surprising results. To raise it up, stand facing a wall 3 times the size of your feet, then in the meantime, place a chair and turn the backrest either to the right or left. Bend over and rest your head against the wall, keeping your legs straight. Are you ready? Lift the chair toward your chest and stand up. If it's too complicated, the reason is simple: you're a man. For a woman, this should be child's play. Are you curious to know why men don't succeed in this exercise? The explanation is strictly anatomical. Gentlemen, be aware that your center of gravity is located higher on your body than that of women, between the navel and the pubis. Moreover, when you bend over, this center moves forward. On the other hand, ladies, who have wider hips, more massive thighs, and buttocks because of the fat that stores there more naturally, your center of gravity is lower. It does not exceed your feet when you bend over. It is therefore much easier for you to straighten up. Adrienne Lewis has a big mouth, more than anyone else. This young American girl from Michigan has a tongue that is more than 10 centimeters long, an absolute record. Her family noticed this when she was 10 years old, which surprised them a lot because this hypertrophy is hereditary and is found in her parents and grandparents. Let's leave aside the pranksters who predict a brilliant future as a stamp gluer, in the best of cases, and let's admire all that she is capable of doing, with such a large organ. Without effort, Adrienne's tongue can touch her nose, her eye and chin, and even her elbow. A tiny part of the population is capable of doing such things. Ahmed Khan is a Pakistani teenager who is aiming for the Guinness Book of Records, although he is already recognized worldwide. And this strange and amazing talent he possesses, he discovered by chance, during his childhood, watching the cartoon Tom and Jerry. Seeing Tom's eyes popping out of their sockets after Jerry's blow to his back, Ahmed tried to reproduce the cat's reaction and succeeded. This Pakistani child was able to make his eyes pop out of his eye sockets as easily as closing them. Today, he can hold them in this position for several minutes without damaging his vision, and without even feeling any discomfort. Ahmed Khan has never been to an ophthalmologist. Since the discovery of this strange gift, he has often had fun spouting out his eyeballs, and although he scares children with such a trick, he has become very popular in his country and is determined to enter the Guinness Book of Records. While we're on the subject of eye characteristics, here's another, extremely rare one, as it affects only 0.5% of the population. But first, let's talk about strabismus, which, as you know, is a pathology of the eyes, which affects their parallelism. Convergent strabismus is when the eye is directed inward, and divergent strabismus is when it is directed outward. However, out of every 100 people with strabismus, about 4 develop a congenital condition called Duane Syndrome. People with this syndrome have difficulty moving one or both eyes inward or outward. However, don't imagine that this condition allows you to see, like a horse, what is going on around you without moving your head. This skill belongs to certain animal species. In fact, if you are extraordinarily unlucky and have Duane syndrome, then you will have to compensate for the deficit in the right or left eye by turning your head to one side or the other. If the muscles in your left eye are deficient, then you will turn your head to the left, which will not only often produce torticollis but will completely change your posture. You've probably already seen the actor Zachary Quinto starring in the famous science fiction films Star Trek, which relate the intergalactic adventures of a spaceship. Zachary takes on the role of Spock, and one of the best-known features of the character is the very recognizable hand movement, made popular in the 1960s, which is called the Vulcan salute. But the actor Zachary Quinto never succeeded in making this gesture naturally. He admits it to his great shame. Besides, it really bothered the producers of this saga with its colossal budget and impressive special effects. But, to his credit, Zachary Quinto is far from being the only one not to succeed in this movement, which consists of linking the ring finger and the little finger on one side, and the index and middle fingers on the other, in such a way as to form a V with his hand. If your hand can do it, don't be too happy and try it with the other one. You will see that it is much less easy. But back to our actor. The only solution he had was to coat his fingers with powerful and instant glues, and he did it. Thus he was able to fulfill his role properly, without worrying about his muscular incoordination. For most of us, there is no serious disadvantage to our bodies lacking flexibility. For people who don't have a sporty lifestyle, the only benefits of good muscle elasticity are that they can bend over better to tie their shoelaces and get out of a small car more easily. But there are people for whom physical flexibility brings very strong pleasures, and who are not motivated by any practical goal, like this Polish woman, who finds her pleasure in her body flexibility. While it is well known that women are inherently more flexible in their anatomy than men, especially at the hips, it is no less true that gaining flexibility requires a great deal of practice. This is what this remarkably slender young Polish woman did. To achieve such a degree of flexibility and almost grace, she had to put herself through many strenuous diets and endless sessions of meditation, stretching and twisting. The result is amazing because not everyone can fit between two bars so easily. We're coming to the end of this video. We hope it has amused and enlightened you on the unsuspected abilities of some people. Among all the ones we just talked about, tell us which one impressed you the most? And which one would you like to develop at home? Tell us below as a comment.